So, good evening. I call the meeting to order of the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the College of Boys Community College District. Today is Monday, May 9th. We are back from closed session, and we did have one reportable item in closed session. By unanimous vote, the board took action in closed session to reject the claims for injury or damage filed by Christina Ramirez and Jorge Martinez. The board further instructed the district to relay these rejections to the claimants and to notify Keenan and Associates for processing. So that was the only item of action in closed session. So with that, if you would join me, please. I stand for the pledge for our flag. And Trustee Cardoza, could you lead us, please?
Ready, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Right. I would note for obvious, a statement of the obvious here, we're too short on our trustees this evening. I believe Trustee Sherman is joining us by Zoom. Is that correct, Megan? Is he on? And also, so both of them we were aware, and they're both excused from this evening. Although we do appreciate if Greg is in fact joining us. All right. So the first item is public comment. Per board policy 2350, any person may address the board at this time, either on agenda items or other matters of interest to the public that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. Maximum 5 minutes is allowed for each speaker, with a maximum time of 15 minutes per item unless otherwise extended by the board. First, we'll take public comments concerning items on the agenda. Anyone, first of all, in person, have any comments on an item on the agenda? How about online? Anyone wish to make a comment? Items on the agenda. Hearing and seeing none. If there are any comments to be made on items not on the agenda, either in person, seeing none, or online. Anyone?
Eric Armstrong.
Eric Armstrong? Mr. Armstrong? You are up.
Thank you, Board, for acknowledging me. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I will have the opportunity to present to you later this evening, perhaps my last presentation to you as the Faculty Enrichment Committee Co-Chair. So I speak to you tonight as a faculty member. I've had the pleasure of teaching here for 9 years as a full-time faculty member and 1 year as a part-time faculty member. During that time, I've seen some dramatic highs and lows at this college. With that experience firmly in mind, I come tonight with a simple message. We are in danger. We are in danger of devolving into that former version of ourselves. We are in danger because we are failing to learn the lessons of the past. During the last board meeting, when the board decided not to vote on Professor Lynch's sabbatical application and effectively rejected it, the board repeated the same problem we faced in 2017, reopening the wound and undermining the progress we've made and the trust we've formed. We are in danger because our culture of administrative authority prevents us from learning those lessons. Though we invested much in new processes, cycles, and posters that remind us of our new giant brand, COS 2.0, we never fully addressed the culture of what made COS 1.0 fail. To use Peter Drucker's oft-quoted line, culture will eat strategy for breakfast. As a result, even when we have a clear process that asks for faculty expertise, indeed rely primarily upon it, those processes are engaged superficially or outright rejected because administrative authority trumps shared governance. We are in danger because that culture of authority prevents the district from listening to faculty. After April's meeting, I contemplated reaching out to the board personally to share the research and guidance that supported FEC's decision to approve Professor Lynch's sabbatical application. But when I shared my thoughts with others, most weren't sure if it was appropriate to contact a board member, even though I am both an employee of the college and a resident in one of the board members' districts. Those who had tried before echoed my own experience, but their words had no impact and were listened. We are in danger because this kind of relationship puts us at risk of returning to the aggressive stalemate of the past, a tension where dedicated faculty believe their input is meaningless, unsupported, and risky. Today, this problem looks like a vacant faculty chairship as faculty worry it is worth their time, given the workload, the responsibility, and rejection of faculty expertise. To paraphrase a colleague, why do all the work when it gets undone at the end? Even further, this tension will make it difficult to recruit and retain talented and committed faculty, and dedicated faculty members will step back from leadership roles. Those conversations have already begun, and an exodus like that hurts our finances and our reputation. I offer this warning because they are the messages I received this year, and these are the thoughts I've had echoed by my colleagues who do and have done a lot for the college and for our students. Aside from hours of research and work undone, I walked away from April's meeting unsure I could ever get have a sabbatical here. My interest in poetry and writing is not valued by the district, and as the board said last month, that such pursuits provide no benefit to the district. Even though I literally spend each week teaching students about poetry, share with them new voices and works of art, expose them to publishing opportunities, and even help them publish their own creative works in local journals. Fortunately, we do not have to succumb to this danger. We can, starting today, choose a different path, a different relationship. We can understand sabbaticals in all their forms, benefit our teaching and our students. We can believe, as the ASCCC outlines, that creative disciplines and projects can have great impact on improving the quality of instruction and the quality of our campus climate. We can trust that sabbaticals benefit the district, not only through better teaching and learning, but also through tangible financial and leadership benefits. In 2010, Miami-Dade Public Schools, one of the largest districts in the nation, published their results investigating teacher burnout, and noting that teacher stress and burnout cost school districts billions of dollars annually through absenteeism, disability claims, and high rates of teacher turnover. One of the remedies is professional development, specifically participation in activities that promote job engagement, self-efficacy, and perceived career success. We can value supporting faculty as they seek to deeply learn more about their disciplines through sabbaticals, as colleges like Mira Costa College have done. In 2019, having only about 700 more FTEs than us, Mira Costa College approved 13 sabbaticals. Their sabbaticals included projects like curriculum development, coordinating with K-12 partners, studying acting through reading and theater festivals, taking a mid-career survey of artwork, studying dance by attending performance and dance competitions. We can reinstate Professor Lynch's sabbatical application and support her learning and growth as a writer and teacher. We can work together to support several of the other IIPs submitted. I invite the board to do this and help make College of the Sequoias a beacon of teaching and learning. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to make comments on an item not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move to the next item, which is board and executive staff reports. Student trustee report. Is Ms. Ali online? She is. Ms. Ali.
Yes.
I heard her.
Yeah.
I think she might have.
Hung up on herself?
Uh-oh.
Oh, she dropped.
Okay. So we'll pick her back up.
She's
Oh,
back.
there she's connected.
She's back on.
Welcome back, Ms. Ali.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I apologize for the connection
No
issues
problem.
that I'm having, and also for not being there in person. I've had strep throat since past 3 days, so I'm sorry if the voice cracks happen. But yeah, I'm glad to see you all here, and I hope you all are doing well. So for the end of the year movie night on April 22nd, we've had one on Wesleyan campus and one in Hanford campus. This is the first time we've had.
She muted herself.
You are muted at the moment. Oh, there you
Hello,
go.
good evening.
Yes,
Can you
there-
hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
we can. Thank you.
Okay. I apologize. I think I've been having connection issues. First of all, I hope you're all doing well. So for the end of year spring movie night, which we had on April 22nd, we watched Wall-E in Visalia campus, which was out there in the quad. We've had one on Visalia campus and one in Hanford campus on April 29th. So both were hosted by COS Student Senate. We watched Wall-E, and we had a popcorn, lemonade, and snacks for everyone. Both movie nights, we've had students, staff, excuse me, and families coming in, since it's a great stress reliever prior to finals. On May 5th, we've had a scholarship night event after a 2-year gap due to the pandemic. Excuse me. So, and then we've had May 6th was the honors night for everyone graduating this year, spring 2022. A few student senators participated in hosting the check-in process. Also, there was another successful spring musical, Beauty and the Beast, held on May 5th, 6th, and 7th in the campus quad area, with a huge crowd, including families, staff, and students. Lastly, I want to thank all the Board of Trustees, faculties, and advisors, and everyone associated on behalf of our Student Senate for year 2021 and 2022, and the entire student fraternity, for giving us a great year and sort of cooperating and including us and considering our whatever we had to say on our behalf. And as a student trustee, the maximum I could do, or the minimum I could do, is sort of have sort of address the message of whatever my fellow students have to say to you guys, and sort of be a better representation for everyone, for people from diverse backgrounds. So thank you so much. I'm so sorry. I've been sick for the past 3 days, so I'm sorry if I wasn't able to speak well. Thank you so much.
Well, your brilliance showed through your hoarse voice, so we do appreciate that. So thank you very much. Excellent as always, and action-packed and filled as always. So thank you for a great representation of the student body.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is board member reports. Trustee Nunes,
I have nothing to report today.
Trustee Cardoza.
I would just like to give some big kudos out to our theater department and the foundation and all that went into the Beauty and the Beast. I've had a handful of community members that have called personally to say, wow, great community effort. They enjoyed it. I missed it. I had senior festivities with one of my boys. I'm bummed, but I got some little videos that probably shouldn't have been shot, but were. So I got to watch a little bit of it here and there from friends that were there. Yeah, we won't repost, I promise. But yeah, so I know the people in Tulare that were able to come out, I really enjoyed it. So kudos to our theater, drama, and everybody that had something to do with that, because it's definitely a jewel to everyone. So thank you.
Good. I was able to attend the end of year employee recognition luncheon that recognized a small percentage of the fabulous work being done at College of Sequoias. Always appreciate hearing and seeing some of the great things that sometimes we don't get to hear. So I did appreciate that. Next up is the foundation report. Mr. Foster.
Good evening. What a week. We had a great week.
You're not tired.
But I do want to report that we did have a COS Scholarship Night back in person again on Thursday, and we had over 220 people in attendance, donors, students, donor representatives. It was a great time. We At this stage of the process, we've awarded 416 awards for a total value of $497,000 $450. Once we combine the Finish Line Scholars Emergency Grants that have been awarded or going to be awarded by the end of the fiscal year, and then first thing in fall, we will award a group of students that have transferred from COS to the Integrated Teacher Education Program at Fresno State Visalia Center. And that will probably bring us right over $550,000.
Wow.
I also wanted to just give you folks, I know you will be at commencement, and so will we. We'll, of course, do the traditional license plate frames, COS alumni license plate frames, but we'll also have a much larger COS Alumni Network presence there. We'll have a booth, and we'll be trying to engage the community that attends the event and try to find some of those alums that are in the stands and see if they will join us in our alumni network going forward. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, as always. Next up is the accreditation report. Dr. Lucerna?
No report.
No report. Awesome. Thank you. President Dr. Calvin, Superintendent President's report.
Thank you, President Lane. I think last month was my longest superintendent's report in quite some time, and I may eclipse it tonight. My apologies, but we have been so busy, and there's just several things I want to bring to your attention. First of all, over the weekend, one of our swimmers, Jillian Lambert, won the state title in the 50 free. Unbelievable talent. She also finished second, a close second, in the 100 free, and then secured the bronze in the 100 breaststroke. Just an amazing weekend for Jillian and her teammates. And then on the men's side, we finished 8th in the state, led by Joshy Peters' second place finish in the 200 free. I'm told that he missed being a state champion himself by, I think it's 7/100ths of a second. I mean, just photo finish, naked eye couldn't decipher the winner. So congratulations to both those teams. And Ali Briano was selected as the Coach of the Year for the Central Valley Conference for both men and women. Quite the double feat there. As several of you have mentioned, we also had a full week in the Porter Fieldhouse with different graduation ceremonies. EOP&S, that's the Extended Opportunity Program Services, as well as the AAC, Access and Ability Center, our Child Development Program, and our honors students were all we did a pre-graduation party for each of those programs in the Porter Fieldhouse. It was phenomenal, just a lot of fun. Scholarship night was again a huge hit, $500,000. I didn't realize, I forgot to factor in the Iep, the Fresno State Teachers Program in the fall. So I had it at right at $500,000 that was given away that night. Unbelievable. The employee luncheon, we had 300 employees show up, and I think we consumed just over 1,200 tacos.
Nice.
And we were able to honor several of our own. First of all, our community member was Dr. Luz Gonzalez, the dean at Fresno State South Valley campus. That was fabulous to be able to acknowledge her as being the driving force behind the partnership that we enjoy with Fresno State. Juan Vasquez was our Administrator of the Year, the Giant Award winner for administration. Renato Bustamante, our men's soccer coach, an adjunct faculty member, got the nod there for his remarkable work and turnaround with that program. Dr. Sarah Harris has been just a wonderful, wonderful resource for curriculum, the Academic Senate, as well as outcomes and assessments. She's been phenomenal. So she was our full-time faculty member, Giant of the Year. And then finally, we awarded posthumously our classified staff member of the year to Sandra Castillo, who we lost we lost this spring. Just a phenomenal human being and someone that worked in EOP&S for 2 decades. Very, very rarely saw her without a smile on her face, and always had a smile on her face when there were students around. Just a remarkable woman and quite a legacy. We were able to honor her. Her family was there, and we had a touching moment with her kids. and I think it's something that a lot of us needed. So anyway, the employee luncheon was great. Thank you, President Lane, for being there as well. Then we had the 3 nights of Beauty and the Beast, and I've heard different estimates, higher than this, but I'm going to say at least in the 500 to 600 people range, just spread out across our quad. And it was absolutely amazing. Surreal is the word I keep coming back to. In my 20 years here, there have been 4 or 5 just unbelievable moments, and this is definitely in that top 5, maybe top 3, all 3 nights. It was just phenomenal to see that many community members and young families come out and enjoy this play. Nick, Chris, James, Michael Tackett leading the orchestra, just other faculty and staff members that put this thing together. It was just amazing. And then when you layer in the work that Tim and Nicole and Peyton and other people that volunteered for the foundation for these 3 nights, we did a pub event on Friday night before the event, and then at intermission. And then on Saturday night in the Porter Field House, we did a huge tea party. And you can imagine the young families with little boys and girls coming out to enjoy that. I think that number was pushing 200 people in Porter Field House. And we had all kinds of teapots and things set up. And then all the characters, well, I shouldn't say all the characters, but a good chunk of characters, 20 of them came in, kind of like Disneyland. They rolled in. And it was a little bit of pandemonium there for a moment as all those youngsters just came running over to take pictures with their favorite characters. It was a sight to see, and so hats off to everyone that made that happen. It was magical. It really was magical. Just a reminder that we do have our graduation ceremony a week from this Thursday, the 19th. 2 sessions again. The first one starts at 5, second one starts at 8, with a taco truck in between on the east ramp, just like last year. It should be a lot of fun. Maybe we will get back to 1 ceremony, but sometimes 2 is twice the fun. So we're looking forward to doing 2 sessions again this year, and so hope you can all join us there. Finally, this just came in this morning, and it was just too good not to have someone speak to it, and who better than Dr. Larry Owen, our Friday night lab that they've run for years. You guys have all heard about it and know the power of it. They applied to be a part of this very special program, and it's incredible that we're one of 200 higher university or higher education institutions in the world that were selected to participate in this. And I'd like Dr. Owens to come to the podium and just talk about it. Thank you, Larry.
So yeah, this just happened. We just found out Friday night. I thought we would find out earlier that day. We were supposed to find out about a month ago, but then they moved it back a little bit. We were supposed to find out earlier in the day, didn't find out yet. And then the team leader came to me in the middle of Friday night lab and said, we got in. So what we got into was COS is going to the moon. Our Friday night lab was selected as part of the Colorado Space Grant Consortium at University of Colorado Boulder. They have created this program called GLEE. Now, when I first announced GLEE to the Friday Night Lab students, they thought, I can't sing. So you're asking the wrong group. We should be talking to the theater arts people. But GLEE stands for the Great Lunar Expedition for Everyone. And so it was a 2-step application process. We got through the first round, and they said, apply, give us more information, let us know what kind of people you have, what skills you have. And so we did that. We put together a good proposal. I think in part buoyed by some of our alumni that now work for Lockheed and for Raytheon Technologies. And we have a PhD student at University of Michigan in aerospace. Some of you remember Jose Guerrero. He was one of our Giant Spirit Award winners a few years back. He's now doing a PhD at University of Michigan in aerospace engineering. So we have a good network of support. And so we put together that proposal, and like I said, Friday night we found out that we were accepted. So what will happen is we'll have a team of students and myself working together over the next several months. And the consortium has a training program online. We go through about 10 modules of satellite technology and programming and other things for students to learn these techniques. And then we actually get a kit from the consortium that we create what's called a LunaSat, a lunar satellite, with the other 200 some schools around the world. Those satellites will all be launched to the moon in 2023. They'll be deployed from orbit around the moon, land on the moon, and then as they gather solar energy to charge up, then they'll start collecting and transmitting data back to Earth. They will transmit for approximately 56 days, and we will be able to then get that data and be able to use it in classes and things like that. So while the team that puts the satellite together will be relatively small, we'll be able to share the experience and the data with our physics classes and chemistry classes and anyone else on campus that will be interested in that. Samuel Mulick, who just the other night got our Academic Excellence Award, he is the team leader. He's a material science engineer that will be going to Cal Poly in the fall, but he will be able to participate in this through the summer, and then as he's at Cal Poly, we'll still get participation from him as well. So it'll be a good event for our students and part of our Friday night lab going into through the summer and through the fall.
Thank you very much. Amazing program,
Yeah.
Dr. O.
Yeah, that's outstanding, and just another example, not just of it, certainly another example of just the extraordinary work that the instructors and staff and everybody does at COS. It's a great organization to be part of, and I'm appreciative of that, and of you particularly. Thank you.
Can you come back after you get the data and it's all collected and share with us the experience? That'd be awesome.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah. As we move along, this will be a long-term process, but we'll
that's
share
really
as
neat.
we go through it.
Yep. Good luck.
That concludes my report.
All right, very good. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Oh, I guess this, I'm sorry, this is Miss Ali's final board meeting. And Amna, if you're still with us, I would just like to thank you for your commitment to this board and your participation throughout the whole thing. I'm sorry that you were sick this evening. We do have a parting gift for you in recognition of your hard work, and just wanted to thank you publicly for being part of this board for the last year. Thank you, Amna.
I'd certainly echo that, and on behalf of the board, thank you for all the time that you've invested, not only in this board, but in all of the myriad activities that you've been involved with in student government, to be able to come and share with this board. We're confident that based upon your confidence in your role and your understanding of your role, that you will move forward and represent COS well in the world, and to the world and for the world. So thank you for that, for what you've done and what you will be doing in the future. Much appreciated. Okay, next up is the reports. First is Academic Senate President's Report. Mr. Ozola, welcome.
Good evening, Board President, Trustee Lane, Trustee Cardoza, and Trustee Nunez, Superintendent President Calvin, everybody in the audience, as well as in the virtual space. A couple things I want to make sure that I communicate in my report. First things first, the Academic Senate will be holding its award ceremony on Wednesday from 4:10 to 5 p.m. We have about a 50-minute video that we're going to play for the attendees as well as the awardees there. And I extend an invitation to all of y'all to attend. Again, 4:10 to 5 o'clock, you'll find the link to the Zoom included on the Academic Senate agenda, which is posted to the website. I want to thank Brent and Jennifer, as well as the deans and directors who supported the award ceremony with the kind words and messages of encouragement, acknowledgement, and of course, well wishes to all the honorees for the award ceremony. The other thing I do want to make mention is the Senate this week will be taking up some really important pieces of work that the body has been involved in. One of the more important ones is the faculty hiring procedures. We're hoping that we get the support of the majority of the Senate, and then hopefully present that to the board here in the near future. I'd also like to take this time to shout out the outgoing officers of the Academic Senate. There's 3 of them that will not be returning. Their willingness to serve in a leadership capacity goes without saying. I think it's really, really important that we acknowledge leaders who step into that spot, and with everything that comes along with that willingness. And then the last thing I want to just take some time. I have some prepared remarks on with respect to the resolution that the Academic Senate passed on a special meeting called by the Senate officers April 25th, following the actions that the board took on the sabbaticals. So I ask for some grace, some privilege as I read my remarks, and hopefully I strike the right tone here. So following the board's decision to deny a sabbatical request approved through mutually agreed upon procedures governing sabbatical leave requests, the Executive Committee of the Academic Senate discussed any potential procedural remedies that remained available to the faculty regarding this matter. From a faculty perspective, it was determined that the decision to deny the sabbatical request in question represents a worrisome deviation from the law, as well as district policies and practices that have again been mutually agreed upon. Let me first state unequivocally, it is my belief that our district has benefited from your stewardship. And I'm willing to agree with Dr. Vega-Lacerna's observations at our special meeting that we have the best board in the state. But to borrow a timely sports analogy here, as a fan of the Dodgers, it is clear by their record and by most baseball metrics, they are the best team in baseball. But that does not mean that we cannot be critical of that organization, even as a fan. Such is the position of an organization that seeks continuous improvement. 5 years ago, 80% of this board bore witness to the last sabbatical crisis. That past crisis resulted in a careful review and necessary revisions to the board and administrative policy 7341 that govern sabbatical leaves requests. Procedurally, the mutually agreed upon BP and AP 7341 enshrined the primary relied upon 10+1 relationship between the board and the Academic Senate per Title V, Section 53-200, and District BPAP 2510. Yet, on April 18th, the board engaged in an action that the faculty, through the Academic Senate, view as an infringement on their legally enshrined shared governance authority, duties, and responsibilities. As such, the Academic Senate convened a special meeting, as I mentioned, on April 25th. The Senate discussed and ultimately passed a resolution included in today's meeting packet. For the purposes of today's Senate report, I will only present the resolved statements of the resolution, which reads as follows. Resolved that the Academic Senate objects to the board's actions, and resolved that the Academic Senate requests that the Board of Trustees reconsider the rejected sabbatical proposal as submitted to them from the Faculty Enrichment Committee, and through COS 2.0 processes, fund it. And if not funded, that the board provide valid and disciplinary guided written reasons for failure to fund consistent with the board's role in shared governance. As described by Standard 4C12 of the ACCJC Committee or Commission, the Administrative Procedure 7341 and Board Policy 2510. The faculty seek to articulate a clear and visible posture, not a confrontational one, but one that offers the board an opportunity to reconsider their action to align with one that is consistent and in deference to the law. The faculty recognize that the board ultimately retains the legal authority to not accept the recommendations of the Academic Senate per Title V, Section 53203. Yet, when said recommendations related to academic and professional matters that the board has agreed to primarily rely upon the expertise of the faculty, and the board elects not to accept said recommendations, Title V, Section 53203 D1 stipulates that the board or its designees, upon request of the Academic Senate, shall promptly communicate in its reasons in writing to the Academic Senate as to why the sabbatical was rejected. Consequently, the Academic Senate requests a statement that is supported by research, reflecting the framework used to determine that an English professor who professes composition and writing courses, who pursues publication of a literary work, where said professor will further development of professional skills and experiences that can be shared with the community and, more importantly, students, does not meet the spirit of Title V language related to sabbaticals impacting students and the district. In closing, the morale of the faculty has been fractured. Faculty have been left to ponder and reflect on a future whereby the board can take action that runs counter to established policies and practices, where faculty recommendations are expected to be relied upon primarily. What faith should the faculty have in the very foundations of COS 2.0? That's my remark. Thank you.
Comments from, any questions, comments
Juan, I
from the
think we
board?
have some-
Hang on, sorry.
Let me have some questions for you.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to just start with a few comments, and just as you started out with Mr. Arzola, I hope my tone is correct too. So I'd like to first start out by saying we value our faculty and know that we are blessed with some of the best faculty in the state, if you ask me. But in your comments, I would just like to clarify that in the resolution, it states that the board constructed additional unknown procedures and evaluations. I guess I would just respectfully disagree with that. As a board, I don't think we came up with anything new that we hadn't decided upon, 5 years ago when we revamped how we did things. And just to take a couple of minutes to quickly revisit that time, which I'd rather not. As a board member, we took it upon ourselves to select 2 board members to kind of be involved in actually looking at the sabbaticals. I can honestly say that was a horrible mistake. It really was. We were not so much out of our purview as we were getting involved in something that maybe crossed that line, correct? So, I remember Dr. Trimble's leadership at that time. The board, we came together, we discussed that. There were sabbaticals on the table that were, kind of also in controversy in terms of how they supported the college. And, we came to that agreement in order, I thought, to make the college better, that the board would, approve sabbaticals. And the board actually asked for accountability as well. We wanted reports back to, this is what was brought to us, and at the end, this is what happened as a result. Mm-hmm. In years past, we will all agree that at times that did not happen. And as board members, we were disappointed that some of the sabbaticals we approved, in the end, maybe we weren't quite in agreement that they served their purpose, right? But I think this time, I think where my issue is that I don't believe that we came up with any additional procedures. I think it comes down to how we spend our money and following the law. And so I guess my question to you would be, as a board, do you think we should abandon our responsibility to approve these leaves even if we don't feel that they align with the law? Just your comments on that would help me out as a board member.
Sure, not a problem, Trustee Cardoza, and I appreciate the question. I would say that you all, by law, have the final authority, and I don't think that should ever be acceded. But what we do as faculty expect partners in the governing of this institution is that the policies and practices that we agree upon that guide us are in fact followed. So if you look at 7341, I don't see anywhere where the Board of Trustees have a separate evaluation tool or assessment tool that they can use to determine that the faculty enrichment coordinator committee and their judgment and recommendations are wrong. And so from a faculty perspective, when there are conversations that seek to review the validity of what the faculty experts recommend, the question we're left with is, why is our expertise not hitting the mark here? So in short, I would just say, I think, no, to answer your question, the board should never cede its authority. That's what you're empowered to do. But I would also just flip that around and say, should the faculty cede their authority when they believe that wrong has been done? And so I would leave you with that.
Anything else?
No.
Trustee Nunes?
Yeah, it just saddens me a bit to hear both Mr. Armstrong and Mr. Arzola bring up the fact that that COS 2.0 is somehow in jeopardy because the board is exercising their duty not to fund a sabbatical that we all as board members felt was not in accordance with the guidelines established by the Ed Code. It's amazing that all the hard work that a whole array of folks did, and now because we've approved one sabbatical and we denied another sabbatical that had issues from the beginning, and the FAC was advised of that and chose to push it through, even though there was certain thoughts that it may not be approved. And now we're being vilified for doing our duty in abiding by the fact that these are taxpayer dollars, and we're bound by the guidelines, again, as I said, established in the Ed Code. And this is not a question this is just my comments, Mr. Arzola. In that regard, I think we had the administration speak to various folks up and down the state, CEOs, instructional officers, and they were including, I think, the state Senate president, and I think they were all came to the same conclusion. That's this board unanimously came to this conclusion. So it just it's a tough one, and this is why sabbaticals had issues in the past, and in my opinion, this is why they may continue to have issues in the future when they have certain when they don't meet the when they don't meet certain criteria. So that it just my thoughts on that. In addition, I think I also, being a CPA and have audited, this was also came to me that potentially our auditors could find a fault with expending funds in this manner. And I had our president reach out to our auditors, and maybe he would like to comment on that.
I certainly can. I think maybe I'll just reiterate, hadn't planned to, but I'll reiterate what I spoke to at the special meeting called by the Academic Senate, just in short. First of all, to somehow twist this into faculty work not being appreciated or valued couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, Christina Lynch is a treasure to this district, and I don't know if we'll be able to repair the damage that's been done. I think early on, Dr. Wilcoxon, who sits on the FEC, he's there for legal reasons, and he called attention to the fact that this could get us into some gray areas, and even further, Dr. Lacerna reiterated the same thing. I reiterated the same thing. I think nothing about our mutually agreed to process opens the door for our board to be able to approve something that they don't feel meets the ed code any more than they don't have to approve the things that I bring forward. If I bring forward something that doesn't meet the ed code, it'll get thrown back at me. And so, as I said in the public comment section, after our last board meeting, I called 5 seasoned CEOs, and Dr. Lacerna ended up talking to 7 or 8 CIOs, including the CIO from one of our largest community colleges in the system that does award 8 or 10 sabbaticals a year. And to a person, they all said, without getting into any heretofore unknown evaluation criteria, they just said, without a direct link to benefit to school and students, it would be a gift of public funds. And I think Dr. Lacerna also had a conversation with the Academic Senate statewide president, who of all people I think would certainly side on the part of faculty whenever possible. And she also agreed that a book tour and subsequent time to write the next novel couldn't provide that link to benefit to school and students. So that led me on Mr. Nunes's suggestion to contact our external auditors. We contact our external auditors as a pretty routine course of business. 3 or 4 times a month, can we use grant funds on this, or can general funds be used for this? It happens pretty regularly, and I think the assumption from their part is we want to use the funds on what we're asking for. And so when Ron Perez, our vice president, contacted the external auditors, we didn't give them any context. We just said, would you please look at this sabbatical and let us know if in your opinion, it meets ed code. So I don't know. We haven't asked them, but my guess is they probably felt like we were looking for permission to spend money on this. And I'll just read it to you. As part of our role as the district's external auditors, we are asked to review certain matters during the course of our work to ensure the district is in compliance with relevant laws and regulations. At the request of the district, we have examined a recently requested sabbatical for employee Lynch. As part of our review, we considered the relevant sections of California law, including Education Code Section 87767, the district's board policy and administrative procedures, and other relevant facts. As the sabbatical proposal is written, it is our opinion that this would be a non-compliant proposal and should not be approved. Our conclusion is based largely on the fact that we did not see evidence of direct benefit to the college or students of the district. Had this proposal been approved as written, if examined as a part of our audit, an audit finding would have been required due to the non-compliance. Signed, John Dominguez, partner. So again, I think you rightly stated it, that we've got the best board in the state, and Ms. Lynch is as good as we have. But I think Feck's failure to listen, A, to Dr. Wilcoxon, who is there for advice to begin with, a seasoned CEO like Dr. Lacerna, and then me as well, and continue to push this through, was going to put both Professor Lynch and our board in a very precarious position, and that's exactly what happened. John, if you have any final comments on that.
Yeah, want to beg your indulgence. It's an issue that really has kind of struck me to the core, because I share the concern that you expressed in terms of, we were not doing so well, then we're doing outstanding, and then, a forecasting by people in a responsible position that's forecasting that, well, all hell's breaking loose, and we're going backwards here, and I don't see it, and so I spent considerable time looking at all of the background information that I could find, looking at the resolution, which caused me particular concern, and I wrote down quite a few words, so I'll beg your indulgence, if you would, sir. If you don't mind, I'll read it, because it's just, I want to make sure that I don't miss it.
Absolutely.
So, first, I believe this board's demonstrated support for sabbaticals. At least that's the way I've seen it over the previous 3 times that I've seen them come before, while I've been here. Second, I haven't heard any trustee expressing an interest in evaluating sabbaticals for content. Certainly Trustee Cardoza had expressed good reasons why we wouldn't want to do that. We are, however, legally required to ensure the things we do that we approve are allowed by the Ed Code. This board has done its best to support the college and all our employee groups. From a compensation standpoint, I'm confident the increases negotiated last year and this year compared to those of other districts demonstrate that we value the entire COS team. This board is proud of the way that the administration and the board has handled district resources, which allowed us to show our appreciation through extraordinary raises when other districts are experiencing fiscal challenges. So, I want to be appropriate, as it is, critical to all involved, that we continue to pull in the same direction. It is vital. Even if we have the occasional, as you shared, even if we have the occasional difference of opinion. But I also have to point out some information that seems to have been overlooked in the development of the presented resolution, and which I believe led to the confrontation we're now experiencing. Dr. Calvin is obviously a brilliant man, because he took quite a few of the points here, so some of these are actually going to be a repeat of what you've heard, but I love to be in his shadow, so I'm proud of him.
I think we all are.
In the initial effect discussion, the dean, serving as the administrative representative, shared that there was an issue with this request, essentially giving you the opportunity to modify the proposal, which I believe was done on more than one occasion, so that it'd stand up to legal scrutiny. That advice was not taken. Similar and more direct concern was presented by the vice president and president, again ignored. It appears to me that listening to the advice of 3 professionals whose jobs all require them to be knowledgeable about allowable expenditure of public funds should have been the point where this conflict was resolved. Instead of considering if the request could be amended, the FEC committee pushed this to a confrontation in which the board had to decide between alienating a great professor or not complying with the law. And those, if I were to boil it down to one sentence, that's all it was. As I understand it, That's just a repeat of a point. So after our last board meeting, COS administration, as was expressed, talked to many folks. I'll go over that. Unfortunately, the same time that we were validating our interpretation of the law, what we're finding is that members of the FEC committee were resigning from volunteer positions, emailing community members to stir up anti-board sentiment. So the decision to fix the blame instead of fixing the problem through discussion is the most disappointing thing to me. From a personal standpoint, I've either been a senior staff member to public boards or actually served on boards for the last 44 years. Now, I'm not looking for any brownie points. I'm simply saying I've seen a few resolutions in my day. Specifically as it relates to resolutions, the recitals, the whereas clauses, are supposed to be a statement of undisputed fact on which the resolutions draw their reasonable conclusions. I mean, that's just kind of the way it's supposed to be. Where that breaks down, I think, is where we get into trouble. So the first seven of the 12 recitals in your resolutions are based in fact. I have no qualms with that whatsoever. They're references to real law or policy. Unfortunately, the last 5 start with a speculation that this board, quote, as Lori had said, constructed an additional set of heretofore unknown procedures and evaluation criteria in evaluating it, and it went on. To be clear, this board has constructed no additional procedures or evaluation criteria. Additionally, we have expressed no desire to impose ourselves in the evaluation process. So since the last 5 recitals are not facts at all, and since those last 5 recitals are the ones that directly support the resolves or conclusions, the resolution seems to lack support for its conclusion. What should be included in the recitals is the fiduciary responsibility that this board has to the institution and to the district's taxpayers. That is the only screen by which the sabbaticals were reviewed, and that is not a heretofore unknown procedure, as that is solidly in law and was forecasted very clearly on 3 separate times to the effect. I appreciate the Senate's various references to shared and responsible government and decision-making in the resolution, which only work if responsible checks and balances are exercised and sides are not drawn. I appreciate the work of the FEC and all other committees and other organized groups that serve students in the best interest of the district. The occasional opportunity to clarify position is a healthy and necessary function of a true collaboration. I appreciate the concerns raised by the Academic Senate and hope that the role and responsibility of this board is more clear and that additional information that has been shared this evening is presented to the Senate for reconsideration of the presented resolution. I'm hopeful that the safeguards and checks and balances will be given a chance to work if we find ourselves in disagreement in the future. So, appreciate your indulgence. Anything else, members? President Kelvin?
I think we pretty much exhausted the subject.
Okay.
Yeah, just a quick rejoiner.
Yes, sir, please.
Back to Trustee Cardoza. You mentioned or asked the question or painted the picture whether there were alternate processes used or evaluation tools that we were unaware of. Just going back to the law does not say there needs to be direct impact. That characterization of the law is not accurate. What the law says is impact students and district. Doesn't say direct, it's impact students and district. By the board adding direct impact has changed the manner in which sabbaticals need to be evaluated. And
says
that's and what we're
benefit.
asking.
We didn't change
What we're
It
at,
says benefit.
directly. It does not say directly benefits. It says benefits or impact, however you want to, it does not say directly. And by utilizing that characterization, you have changed the manner in which FEC should be evaluating
We appreciate.
sabbaticals. That's all.
We
That's-
appreciate that perspective. However, it doesn't in any way change our fiduciary responsibilities. And so I would rest my case on the fact that very highly respected administrators throughout the state, including the president of the Academic Senate, as well as our own auditor, when we disregard, I would just tell you that if we were to disregard, and Trustee Nunes, as CPA, will tell you that, we disregard the written advice of our CPA, who is, by the way, coming to audit you, look out, because they told you not to speed and you sped, and there you go.
Sure,
So,
I would appreciate that. I would appreciate that. Again, what I'm trying to get at is the evaluation practice has been changed. If FEC now has to, in evaluating sabbaticals, has to determine and provide direct evidence of direct benefit.
They only have to make sure that the law is followed, that's all.
Right.
Nothing
But-
has changed.
But the board has said direct, the word that the president has
Nothing has
used.
changed.
It has changed, sir. It has.
Our auditors
It
use
has.
the word direct. I don't
Exactly.
think anybody here did.
Yes,
Our auditors
they did.
use the word, our auditors use the word direct, Juan, but 5 CEOs didn't, 8 CIOs didn't, your own academic senate president didn't. They said it has to be a benefit to school and students. Eric talked last time about the transformational benefit to students, and yes, as I said in your open meeting, there would be some of that. For our students to see any of the great things, you're getting your doctorate, that will have a transformational benefit to your students. In this case, there would be a transformational benefit to anyone that probably knows Professor Lynch. That, according to, again, the 18 people we've talked to, they don't believe that meets the letter or the spirit of what the Ed Code says. And if you ask your external auditor a question and they give you an answer, I don't think any of us want to let a year go by and then find out this was done improperly. What are you going to do to fix it?
Here's what my response would be, Superintendent Calvin. I also spoke to seasoned educators up and down the state. And when I advised them of the evaluation tool that has been mutually agreed upon by our board and our faculty, while they may not agree that maybe publishing is an activity that their institution would have supported, but because our evaluation tool includes publication specifically in our evaluation tool, they said, follow your practices, follow your policies. That's how I would just say. And I think that's where the faculty are coming from. If we're not going to follow those policies and those practices, then explain to us why. Explain to us why you don't see that the faculty expertise don't see or cannot provide or present a clear picture that this sabbatical will in fact benefit students in the district. So I appreciate the time you guys are giving me. I appreciate the learning experience. This is a learning experience, right? This is the first time that I've been in this scenario. Hopefully it will be the last time. But if it's not, I got my tap dancing shoes on and I'll be ready to put them on in the future, y'all. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is the Costa President's Report. Ms. Redden, would you like to follow that?
Okay, so yeah, this is Senate business, but it's also in the contract, and I just heard one thing that I'd like to, I think this broke down with communication. I really do. I'd like for us to look beyond it, what's going to happen afterwards. Christina was never offered the opportunity to rewrite her sabbatical
By the fact.
by the FEC. And I think it's because of their processes.
Right.
And so, yeah, this is, whatever happens tonight, you know, I hope we can look at the processes and fix it, because it does say rely primarily on the Senate. So I hope we can fix it and see what went wrong and collaborate and communicate after this with what happens. So I got to go. My daughter needs me to pick her up from baseball. She's calling me now. But I also want to say, you've heard me say this, leaving on a good note, several times this year. We have a great engineering program, great Friday Night Live, great, I mean, we have, it's not just engineering, computer science comes, biologists are coming, it's expanding. It is the best jewel of this Central Valley of the whole, and now it's, I mean, bigger than, I'm just so proud of you guys. It is. So yeah, that is awesome. I've always told you guys it's been awesome, and now we know for sure. So I gotta go though.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess everybody's too young here. When I hear the term "to the moon," you know what that reminds me of?
To the moon and
To the
back.
moon,
The
Alice.
honeymooners.
Oh,
To the
yeah.
moon, Alice.
Nonsense, right?
Yeah, we don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Nobody knows what I'm talking about, all those youngsters over there.
Mr. Cherry, CSEA President's Report
No,
Update.
Thank you. But a big thank you to everyone for your support for being these.
Got it.
Awesome.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
Last under report is COSAFA President's Update. Ms. Solis, are you online?
Yes, he's not.
Okay. Anyone else to provide that report? If not, we'll move to informational items. Mr. Armstrong, are you still with us to provide the Sabbatical Institutional Improvement Project update?
Yes, I am still here. Am I allowed to share, Megan?
Yes, you are.
Beautiful. So I hope you all can see this.
Yes, we can.
All right, so before I jump into the IIP update, I also wanted to inform the board that I communicated with Jamie Moore, who is currently on sabbatical this semester as well, and informed her just to get an update on how she was doing, and inform her that in accordance with our administrative procedure, she's expected to report to the board next semester, no later than your December meeting. And she's going to prepare a short written report that she'll submit early in fall semester, that she'll share with the new FEC chair, and that I will coordinate with to make sure that that report gets included to report to you. I can just briefly, without much detail, report that she successfully passed her comps and is now officially a PhD candidate rather than a student. And she is excited to report all that she's done to you next semester when all of this is finished.
great.
As I'm sure you all are aware, academic semesters are different, and so even though we're nearing our end, I think she still has a little bit of time to go before the official end of her semester. Now, for the IEP report, Katie Bavarian was awarded an IEP to continue work on her Writability podcast. I intended to just crib a couple of her slides, and I just decided to take them all because she just did a wonderful job when she presented to tech on the results of work, so I just hope to share that with you tonight very briefly. So first, her goals were to publish 6 new episodes for the podcast, create discussion questions and activities, provide an assessment of the analytics, like how well has the podcast done, do some student surveys and instructor interviews on how the podcast is being used and whether or not it effectively helps instruction. So she created those 6 episodes. These are the new episodes that she created here. And those are all updated to the LibGuide. So I included that with the meeting materials, a link to the LibGuide. I encourage the board to go and explore all the episodes that are there, in addition to these 6 new ones. So this is what it will look like if you head there. It's hosted on our website, our library LibGuide website. And as you click through, each of the episodes not only has the podcast listed there, as you can see at the top, it comes fully equipped with a transcript of the episode. And what she added this year, as you can see on the top there, is a discussion tab for all who are using this podcast. And if you click that link or that tab, it will show you when they think it might be useful to use this episode in a semester. So faculty who are interested in it but unsure how to use it, there might be a quick opening. It's linked with our English 1 and English 2 SLOs, depending on the episode, of course. And she added discussion questions that will hopefully be student-centered and equity-minded to help people start talking about and thinking about writing. Her analytics kind of tell us all we need to know, I think. Just the number of views on the LibGuide as of April 2022 were 11,700. And what this tells us is that it's not just being used by COS faculty and students, it's being used by other colleges around the state. Katie Bavarian does have some anecdotal evidence of that, and some of her friends and colleagues have said that they use it at their college, but also that it's been shared by the statewide OER initiative as something that people can use freely for resources. 100% of the students surveyed were either neutral to enjoyed listening, so it's good to say that nobody absolutely hated it. So that's a win. And 85% of the students said listening to the podcast helped them do better in their class, which I think is really where the rubber meets the road. And 85% of the students said listening to the podcast helped them feel more connected to the college and to their faculty. And then just some snippets here. I won't read them all, but it's included in the board materials, but you can see that the student perspective here is that they really value what they were listening to when they got to hear professors just talk with Katie about writing, not only here, but in the other divisions. And then that they really thought it was great to listen to faculty have a casual conversation, express their own vulnerability and their struggles when it comes to the difficult task of learning how to effectively read and write, and how it is a really lifelong process. And here are some additional takes for what they developed after listening, right? That they thought about what they could use for research, how to note take, things about code meshing. Instructor feedback, how did you use the podcast to support your students? So a lot of people have used it in different ways, right? They embed it in learning pages, or use it as a conversation starter, or supplement things they're already doing in class just as additional piece of multimedia instruction. And then this is what they valued for it, right? That it was great conversational, it demystifies things, and shows faculty that are vulnerable and struggling and learning with difficult tasks, and it's accessible for everyone. So she hopes to do some more episodes in the future, including literature episodes and creative writing episodes to help augment not just our English 1 and English 2 courses, but also help for English 4, English, our specialty literature courses, and English plus. That is it. She actually was able to make it to the meeting. She's here on Zoom, and so I came prepared to present on her behalf. But she is here to answer questions, or as well as I'm here to answer questions if the board has any.
Board members have any questions?
No, I think it's great that we're appealing to these kids who want to listen to podcasts instead of go to class. So we might as well get them how we can. So yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Katie, go ahead. Trustee Nunes.
My only question was going to be and I think you mentioned it, but I missed it, where I find this on our website. Did you mention that, Eric?
Yes, it's under our library website under the LibGuides. So if you're on the home page of the COS website, if you go to the library, there is a LibGuide link. It'll take you to all of the LibGuides the librarians have created. And since this is a W, it's pretty much down at the bottom. But I also, in the board summary for this informational item, is a direct link to the podcast in the LibGuide. so that you don't have to necessarily dive in 3 or 4 pages to find it.
Eric, I'm not getting, what's the,
It's also
after
just.
guide, what's the
podcast.
word before guide? What
Lib,
guide?
L-I-B.
Oh, LIV guide,
Yeah.
live guide, okay, got
Yes,
it.
I'm sorry, LIB,
Lib, B.
short for library.
Oh, lib, LIB, got it.
They
Wow,
didn't have that on the honeymooners, did they?
Ken, here's the link.
And as
Oh,
Katie
okay,
was
got
noting in the chat, what she was tracking, I forgot to mention, what she was tracking does not include what people are listening to on major podcast apps. So if you are listening to the podcast on, say, like Google Podcasts or Apple Podcasts, where it is available as well, it wouldn't be tracked in the LibGuide, the tracking stuff. So likely, the use of the podcast is more significant than what we're seeing in those analytical data points.
Thank you.
Katie, are you online and able to hear? Yeah, you just unmuted. So.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. So a couple of things. First of all, an absolute echoing of the great work. It occurs to me that what you've created and what you continue to create is something that lives on forever. And what a great testimonial to your dedication, and we appreciate that. And on behalf of those who won't know you in the future, maybe 50 years from now, and they're still looking at that, thank you for what you did. I'm curious with in developing this type of curriculum, I'll call it, you obviously have gained some insights into the best utilization that I'm aware of utilizing technology in the teaching methods. So do you have or might you consider providing some sort of workshops to your peers in best practices, things that you learn, aha moments, those sorts of things? I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like it's one of those things where it's good one-on-one, just like depending on what they need. But I've actually helped a couple people who've worked on podcasts for other things just talk through my process and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely something I could consider doing more of, depending on what people want.
Great. Well, we certainly appreciate that. Anything else?
Katie, this is Brent. This is fabulous work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Armstrong, any other reports for this evening?
No, sir, that is it. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Appreciate that. And pass along our congratulations as well. So the next is the quarterly update, budget accountability. Saw Mr. Perez's name on the screen.
Yes, can you hear me more? Yes, can you hear me more?
Yes, we can.
Perfect, so tonight is the quarterly budget accountability report for March 31st, 2022. Again, this supports the board's priority number 8, which is ensure fiscal stability. And it's a two-part fiscal stability. One is to provide timely updates for the SCIF, Student Center Funding Formula. And just FYI, the governor is going to be coming out with his May revise here either Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Legally, he has to do it Saturday, but he'll be getting it out this week. What we do in fiscal, we'll take all that information, finalize our tentative budget, and take to you, to the board in June, approval of the tentative budget. So be ready, be known that's coming to you in June. And then the second part is to ensure that our fund balance is no less than the state average, and currently the state average is finalized, it's about 29% statewide. So it's everybody's taking care of their fund balance, which is good to see. On this page here, it shows the difference between what happened, transpired April 18th to this board meeting. You see the bottom line, general fund surplus. In April, we showed a $7 million surplus, but we also took a resolution to transfer $6 million of that surplus into $5 million into the Career Technical Education Building in Tulare campus, and another $1.3 into our fund balance. And as you move over, you'll see the 5.1 and the 2.1. We made the $5 million transfer, but we have not made the fund balance transfer yet because we're kind of waiting to end the year to see how everything pans out before we make that final transfer. And that's the general fund. And then the right-hand side is the restricted budgets. And normally, as revenue comes in, you expend or you budget all the expenditure side. So the bottom line is a net zero. And you look at it and I say, wow, 59.9 million restricted. Just a reminder, most of that is HERF, CARES dollars. So it's not usually our categorical. So it's categorical and HERF dollars combined there. Next slide, please, Megan. Again, this is the backup of what I just showed on page 1. Again, as you look at the top left, when we adopted our budget, we showed a $6.6 million surplus. And as you follow down, you see the months, October, November, December, January, then you move over to the right, the following months. You see what we did last month. So in April, we showed a $7.1 million surplus. You'll see the resolution that we moved to $5 million over to Larry, and another miscellaneous true-up for AAC. So what we're showing currently at our fund balance at this point in time is $2.1 million. And as you move down on this page here, you'll see the details on the revenue side. General fund, a little over $2,700 in testing true-up dollars, and then AAC. And then all the miscellaneous major expenditure changes, and you'll see the alpha numbers, A, C, D, E, and F, what the changes we made there. Next page, please. And then this is a recap of our revenue projections. Again, the left-hand column is the adopted, what we took in September. The annual projection is the current budget as of April 19th, and what we collected to date and any changes. You notice changes, the $1 million and the 2.2, nothing that you haven't seen before, but if you scroll down a little more, I'll explain those. The $1 million on the state revenue side was for the faculty new hires that we hired this year. The state funded those new hires. And then lastly, the local revenue. That $2 million made up of lost revenue, so bad debt write-offs. So we wrote off student debt legally, which we could using CARES and HERF dollars, $1.3 million, meaning students that owe the college, we erased their debt if it happened between the pandemic and now. And then the CARES, our students in the funding formula, remember there's 3 buckets. The second bucket is supplemental success, the 8540 students, the Pell students. Because we are losing, or we lost FTES, that means those students too were losing. So that was a reduction of $108,000, but we were able to use HERF dollars to make up that loss. So no reduction to our state, our budget in general fund. Next page, please. And then the expenditure side, again, the left-hand side is the adopted, $76.5 million. Our working budget is what we currently have right now. And then what we're looking at, our annualized projection and what we year-to-date spent. This goes through March. We have one more quarter, and as of March, we're 68% spent, usually around 75%. So I expect, and we all expect, that there's going to be folks out there that are not going to be spending 100% of what is budgeted. So there's 2 types of monies that we have. We have a surplus, which means we budget everything, then we have a surplus at the end, which means we ended up with more money in the revenue side than on the expenditure side, so that's the surplus. We're expecting here, looking at 68% year spent, that we're going to have fallout. So we're going to have surplus money and fallout to deal with in June and July, and you'll be seeing a resolution come to the board for approval after President Calvin and myself look at the needs of the district. Next slide is a recap of our funds that we have in the county office, Tulare County Office of Education. Again, they are our holder of all of our funds. And just a couple, I want to point out the general fund you see there, a total cash in hand, $43.8 million down below on the left-hand column. Capital projects, again, that's where we keep all of our capital money. Everything that you see transferred over to Tulare Senior, their solar project, whatever, is in capital projects. And if you move over to the right, you'll see Tulare Geo bonds, 22.3. Again, in that budget, on the capital project side is another 10 million. So the Tulare Geo bond of 22 and another 10 million in capital is for the Career Tech Educational Building in Tulare Center. So just a recap of the funds that we have at the county office of ed, and as we write our checks, they ensure that we have dollars, of course, to draw on those accounts. I'll be happy to answer any question you have on the budget accountability report for March 31st.
Looks good, Ron, thank you.
Thank you.
No questions. Thank you.
The next item is our quarterly report of our community college financial statement, otherwise known as the CCFS 311, again, March 31st of 22. The first section is more historical than anything. You'll see on the left-hand side, excuse me, 18, 19, 19, 20, 20, 21. Look down at F1, E and F1, excuse me. You'll see a fund balance and you see the percentage reserve. Again, in 2021, we showed a 29.3. And then you look over to the right, projecting, again, this is as of March. It doesn't take into account of the $6 million transfer that we approved, at the board approved last month. So it will not be 40% reserve, but it'll probably be in the neighborhood of 32. Looking at our board party number 8, we do want to meet the minimum state threshold of 29%, so we're going to be looking at making sure that we get that. Annualized, section 2 is the FTS, we do not collect that anymore. Section number 3 is funds on hand, general fund, again 43.8 that we have before going out today. And as you scroll down, Megan, section 4, unrestricted general fund revenue balance. Again, the left-hand column is the budget that we adopted in September. Our current budget is the next column in year-to-date actuals. Again, those are year-to-date as of today. Again, our annual budget, we're showing a beginning fund balance of 24.2 million. Again, we're looking at contributing that to that end year. Again, it will not be 40%, it'll be probably in the neighborhood of below 30%. And then we move down to section 5, just the generic questions that they ask. Any employee contracts settled this quarter, of course, no. Do we need a long outstanding debt? Of course not. We paid those all off in the last year. And do we have any significant fiscal problems that must be addressed this year or next year? The multi-year projections show we're okay. Again, looking good. Again, we're waiting for the revise to come out this week. And then again, once I get that, I'll be meeting with the board subcommittee, the board sub-finance committee, before we take the tentative budget to the board in June. And with that, that's my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you have on the financial statement.
Any questions, board members?
No, thank you.
Another excellent report. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate the work of you.
Great,
Well,
thank
good.
Yeah, Ron, I do have one question for you. What, was your golf game better last Saturday than it was last Friday?
You know, Trustee Nunes, the reason I'm not there is my back is hurt because I had cheering the whole day, but it's all good.
Let's go!
You opened the door.
I think you have us confused with that big guy that was on our team.
So he's smart and he's quick, right?
That's good.
Thank you. So that concludes the informational items. On to consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar considered routine will be enacted by one motion. An item might be removed from the consent calendar at the request of any member of the Board of Trustee or any person in the audience or online, and considered as a separate agenda item. The items under consent this evening are the minutes of the previous meeting, personnel report, number 11, the payment of bills, working budget approval, approval of amendment to an agreement with a Central Mother Lode Regional Consortium, and renewal of legal services for the district. And then And one more, approval, is that's still under
Yes.
consent, huh? Approval of Equal Employment Opportunity Fund, multiple method allocation model certification form, fiscal year 21-22. Any items to be pulled?
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of consent items 4 through 10.
Second.
Move to accept all items as presented by trustee Nunes, seconded by trustee Cardoza. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Unanimously passed by the trustees present. The next is, next page. Curriculum. Dr. Lacerna, a little bit shorter report tonight.
Yes, we have a short report tonight because deadlines were passed. So this is approved by the Academic Senate and the Curriculum Committee and recommended that the board approve this report. And you see we have a group of English courses that they're here for regular 5-year review and adding distance learning addendum. On the second page, we have English and Spanish. And one learning skills class. They're all here for pretty much the same thing, 5-year review, removing a prerequisite and adding distance learning addendum. On the next page, we have 2 course deletions. These are both English courses that we no longer offer. And program modifications, these are here for 2-year review, certificates, just getting their regular 2-year review updates. And that is the report.
Any questions?
Nope, so moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee Cardoza, seconded by trustee Nunes to approve the attached list of courses and programs as part of the district's curriculum. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same. Passes unanimously with those trustees present. Thank you, Dr. Lacerna.
Thank you.
Last up is a resolution presented by Dr. Calvin, Consolidation of Governing Board Elections Resolution.
Thank you, President Lane. This is our consolidation of governing board elections. As you know, Ward 1, Mr. Sherman's, or Trustee Sherman's ward, Trustee Nunes's ward number 2, and President Lane's ward number 5 are all up for election this November. And so we need to adopt Resolution 2022-04, ordering elections in those wards and consolidating them into the general election in November.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded by trustee Cardoza and seconded by trustee Nunes to pass the resolution from Tulare County. We have received and reviewed the resolution in advance. Megan, would you pull the board, please?
Trustee Cardoza?
Aye.
Trustee Nunes?
Aye.
Trustee Lane?
Aye. Okay, with no further business, we will stand adjourned. Thank you.